Here we go. All right. I'm going to back up a little bit, so forgive me because I didn't hit the brand. I didn't hit the record button, so I'm going to quickly just go over this. And you guys, thanks for bearing with me while I'm figuring this out. And I don't believe I am sharing. Oh no. Can you see my screen right now? Let me make sure. You should be able to. Here we go. Do you think maybe I'm a little nervous or something? Good grief. Okay, now you should be able to see my screen. I'm just going to go over this really quickly again. So a brand is the way your company, organization, or an individual is the way a company, organization, or individual is perceived by those who experience it. So yes, it is your name, it is your logo, but it's also who you are, your vision statement, your values, the products and services that you offer, the messaging that you put out there, the way that you talk about your products, including the personality and how you or your business talk, and the ideas that you have. So this is an overwhelming thing when you think about it. Like, how do you create a brand from scratch? You've got to start somewhere, and you have to understand that your brand is going to grow and evolve with you and your business as it grows and evolves. So when people ask me where to start, I like I said, if you go Google what is a brand or how to create a brand, you're going to get all kinds of advice from all kinds of different places, a lot of which are really great pieces of information. So the first piece is to understand is that your brand starts with understanding that it is who you believe you are or who you believe your company is. And while I'm going through this brand talk, know that what I'm telling you is that your brand may be a personal brand, like you may be the entire face of your company if you do like services or you sell like insurance or real estate or a product online. It may be you may be a big part of your brand, or your brand may be a company entirely, like separate from who you are. And it may be a combination of that. So you kind of have to apply this to what applies to you as we're going through it. So your brand starts with understanding that it is who you believe you are. It's who other people believe that you are. So your customers, your potential customers, your target market, and just the public at large. And it's also who you aspire to be. So I always go through this really quick brand exercise when I'm helping people identify their brand. And it's to and we're not going to take this. I will be emailing you all this presentation afterwards. So this is something you can do as you're kind of developing and figuring out your brand. But I always tell people, write down a few words that would describe how would you describe your business or yourself to someone when you first meet them. Write down a few words or phrases that you would use to describe your company. Write down a few words or phrases that other people would describe you when they first meet you or when they're first introduced to your company. And then write down a few words or phrases that you wish people described you or your business. And I have you do this because when you're first starting in your brand, a lot of times the answers to those three questions are very different. As you progress with your brand, as your brand starts to become more clear, what will happen is the answers to those questions become the same. So you get to be who you aspire to be with your brand. And this is a great exercise to start and to start pointing yourself in the direction of who you wish to be and how you wish to be described and how you wish to show up as your company representative. So something to think about when you're first getting started. What's happening? There we go. So I'm going to first show you a brand guidelines document for my personal brand because I know it really well. And then I'm going to give you an example of what a brand guideline document will look like. And this is what we're going to develop today. So while your brand is a lot of things, including a vision statement, a mission statement, maybe a logo, a name, could be part of your tagline, your personality of your business. It's a lot of things. The visual representation of your brand is incredibly important in any marketplace when you're marketing yourself. So if you creating an actual physical document that will tell people, this is who I am, this is what I look like, will help as you start hiring people or as you start putting your brand out there to make sure that your brand stays cohesive. You want to make sure that whether you're on your website or you're on Facebook or social media or LinkedIn or your business cards, your letterhead, all of these elements that make up, that are the visual representation of your brand, that they are all cohesive and they match and they go together. And having a document like this will tell you and tell everyone that you're working with and that has access to your brand how to navigate that. So one of the things to think, and this is something that at some point you may have a designer do for you or a marketing firm do for you. But when you're new and you're getting started, this is something that you can do for yourself. And I recommend it because then when you do start to work with somebody to create like business cards, you can send them this document and say, this is the visual, this is my brand guidelines. And also know that this may evolve over time. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example. So this is what, and I did mine myself, and I did it through PowerPoint. I did some Google research. I've talked to some marketing experts that are friends of mine about making this, and this is what I came up with. It's important to know that this is a DIY brand guideline document, and that hiring someone or knowing when it's time to hire somebody, you're going to get something way more awesome. But when you're doing it yourself to get started, this is the place to go. So first, you're going to have a table of contents that tells people what they're going to see. And these are all of the sections of the table of contents. So I'll just go through them. So first is the about section. And this is going to be just a few paragraphs about you or your company and what you're involved with. Now, my brand, my business is a personal brand that centers around a lot of other things that I do. So that's what mine is about. But yours this is basically like the about section of your website or something very similar to that. The second section that I have here is links. This is to go through and find all of the links that you have that represent you and your brand. You may have some of these, you may have more of these. You may start with only one. You may start with just the website or maybe a Facebook page, and that's okay. So, but having this in your document is going to let anybody that you know that you're working with that this is where to find you and where things should be linked. So this is also really handy when you're doing an audit of your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page to make sure this is one place that you can go to find all of those links. So then you're going to have a page with your master logo. This is my master logo, and we're going to talk about how to get a logo developed if you've not done that yet in a little bit. The next space is logo variations, different variations of your logo that are acceptable to use. Now, this is a really important part because maybe I never use a black and white version of my logo, or maybe my black and white version is not grayscale. It's literally black and white. So it's important that your logo variations that are clearly put here. And what this tells people is these are the ways that are appropriate to use my logo, and it's inappropriate to use anything outside of this page. Okay, we're going to go over that a little more. The next is topography. So this, did you know most brands have chosen fonts? So usually there's 2 fonts that a brand will choose, sometimes more than that, or sometimes only 1. But this is one thing that you can do to make sure you're visually representing your brand appropriately. So every time you have a piece of letterhead or a business card or maybe a brochure or something like that, you know exactly what fonts to use. And these are the only versions of the font that are acceptable to use. So anything outside of this would not be acceptable. So this is the second font that I have on mine. The next element is your color palette. So this part, I will go over exactly how to do this. But this is really important because when you're going to print things or have things online, that color needs to be cohesive in every place. And you can actually get these codes, the hex code, the RGB code, which is Roy G. Biv, at least that's how I remember it, and the CMYK codes. So this makes sure that when your printer is printing things or you're choosing a color on if you're in Microsoft Word and you're choosing a color, or if you are in maybe a publisher document or something like Canva, you're able to have the exact color codes so you're not guessing and getting close. Because guessing and getting close is, it doesn't make sure that your brand starts getting locked into people's brains, okay? And then you're gonna see some brand application. So this is ways that the brand is used visually in different places. So you've got your business card, I've got letterhead and an email signature to make sure that all of that looks good and cohesive. This is what my brand looks like on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on YouTube with social media covers. You may have more of these that you use, these are examples, you may have less. And it's also important to know that this will grow with you. So you may start with just one piece of collateral, brand application collateral, and you can add to it as you go. And this document can always be added to. This is what my podcast art looks like, and an example of an Instagram quote. I also sell products, so this is how I visually represent my products with my logo. And that's also really important to know that you can tell in all of these pictures, it's usually very crisp and clean and white, and that's just the visual representation of how I want to showcase products. Okay, so here's your brand guidelines, and this is what I want. So that was an example. Now I want to take you through the process and kind of have you visualize your brand. And I'm going to send you this PowerPoint. And now, mind you, as I said before, a graphic designer or a professional in the marketing industry is going to give you a much more robust example of this. But if you're just starting, if you don't have the marketing dollars to hire somebody just yet, it is still really good idea to prepare this document and have it, because when it's time to work with a designer, you've got so much done already. And you can make it really clear, like maybe you're going to start working with a social media manager, or maybe you're going to have somebody design a brochure for you. You can just send them this document and they don't have to go find all of this information by searching through God knows what, or you don't have to go searching for it. So you start with the cover page, and what you'll be able to do is I will be sending you two documents. One will be the PDF of my example, and then the other will be this blank PowerPoint presentation that you can put your own stuff in. So the first is going to be, and you can, as you go through this, you'll know what things you want to add. Does that make sense? Okay. So you'll have your table of contents, and I recommend putting an on-brand photo here. If you've got a photo that represents your company, your business, your products, your services, that's on brand for you, sprinkle those through this document. And then you'll have your about section, and you'll just go through and update your about section, describing your business and the personality of your business. And then your contact name, this would be the person that the primary contact of your business, information there. So then you're going to do your links. So I've already done this part for you, where all you have to do is insert your link under here, under each of these. And again, you may add links or you may subtract them. So that part's pretty simple. And a copy of your master logo goes here. Now, what if you don't have a logo, or you're not really sure about your logo? Let's talk about that. So when you want a logo developed, there's a few different places you can go. There's graphic designers and marketing professionals that do them, and having a logo designed is usually anywhere from about from a professional, local professional, $300 to $500. And some of that may come with other collateral involved. And it will also depend on the amount of time that they spend researching your brand and what it is, and if they do any formal research. So you can expect to come out on the other side, $300 to $500 is probably a ballpark range. And there'll be some people that are less than that and some people that are more. So that may be completely out of your price range. If you're just getting started with a logo, you can go to fiverr.com and you can get information about, you can actually like put out a request for a logo and people will bid on it. That might be a really good idea right now. Canva is another place where canva.com is a software. I highly recommend Canva. It's a great place for DIY graphic designers that are trying to, get their brand cohesive through what they have on there is templates for designing everything that you can imagine: letterhead, logo, Facebook covers, YouTube covers, Instagram posts, Facebook posts. It's a great place to get started. It has a pretty small learning curve, little bit of a learning curve. It's pretty much drag and drop. And so if you are going to do a DIY logo, let's talk about, or when you are talking to a designer about what your logo may look like, let's talk about what should be making up your logo. So a logo is a symbol of text and images that identifies a business. A good logo shows what a company does and what the brand values. A logo makes you stand out from your competition. You know, if you're a makeup artist, I'm a makeup artist, so I'm going to go with that. If you're a makeup artist, you want your logo to help you stand apart from every other makeup artist out there. It builds brand recognition. When you regularly use your logo on things, even as a watermark or in the corner of all of your social media graphics, people start to pick up and they start to see it. And then eventually they'll slow down because they can see oh, hey, this is something from Kendra. I'm really interested in everything she shares, of course. So anyway, that's really good. So logo elements that when you're talking will include typography. So that's your fonts, like we talked about earlier. Imagery, apparently I can't spell imagery. It's okay. Color, and then context of the logo, like how it's portrayed. The one thing I will tell you is careful with a busy logo. The simpler the logo and the simpler that it can be converted to like black and white or grayscale, or think about when your logo gets really, really small. Does all the elements disappear or can they stay? Like in the footer of a piece of letterhead or something. So think about those things when you're creating your logo and keep it as simple as possible. And also it's important to know that it's okay for your logo to evolve. All logos evolve, all logos go through change. I recently read a really interesting article about BMW they just did a slight tweak on their logo and their super fans are flipping out, not in a great way. So it's interesting, people will become very like attached to your logo if you do your branding right. All right, so then you're gonna have your logo variations and then you're gonna pick your fonts. So typically you're going to pick a standard font or something that's easy to read and a fancy font. Now, this is coming from me, not the graphic designer here. So I want to share with you some ideas for choosing typography. So when you're looking at fonts, you can download them from defont.com and 1001freefonts.com. Those are two. There's a lot of others available. If you Google download a font, you're going to come up with all kinds of resources and you can go looking through them. But then how do you find what font is good for you? Well, I want to show you this. Now, hopefully you can see this. Let me make sure. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this. This is a great website from Australia, actually, called Iconic Fox. And they give great free information about all kinds of, they do branding and marketing for people. So I absolutely love, and this infographic that they created and this article, which you'll have complete access to go through at your leisure, on typography and branding and explaining like what kinds of brands use this kind of font. I was blown away by this infographic and I thought, what a great way to teach people easily and then to see it in action, different brands that use this kind of typography in their branding. So this is a great like visual representation, also with really good knowledge and information and education on why you might use this type of font or that type of font. So this is really, really great. I highly recommend you take a look at that. And let's go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, we're going to go over this part later. I meant to delete that from this part. The next is your color palette. So this can also be really confusing, but I have some really cool resources for you. You may already know what your colors are. You may have it clear, but you may not have all of these codes to go with them. And this part is really kind of important as you grow your brand. So let's talk about when you're choosing colors. When you're just first getting started, plan on choosing 3 colors: a base color, an accent color, and a neutral color. And I got this information where you can learn a lot more about this from another website called 99 Designs. Make sure you can see this. This is another website. They do a lot of design. They also give a lot of free education through their blog on information like this. And this was just something I read about, and I really loved it because they help you understand why branding colors matter, what emotions are evoked from different colors, and how colors make people feel, and that will go along with your brand. You know, like if you've got like a really high energy brand, you're not going to want like a really low energy color. Does that make sense? So this is some great information. I'm not going to go over it in complete detail because this is something that would be different for every person's you know, specific brand, but this is some great information on using colors. And remember, you're going to be using your branding colors. This part right here is great info. You're going to be using it on your logo, your website, your storefront, social media advertisements, in-store design stuff if you've got a brick and mortar, maybe uniforms and advertisements. So you're going to be married to this color. Like, this color is coming along with you for the duration. You want to make sure you love it and that it evokes the right feelings in people, right? So this is also a really helpful link, and I thought this was probably, like, I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. Let me make sure you can see this. This is a website called colorhex.com, color-hex.com. And you can put, this is how you get those codes. So you may only have one of the codes. When I was doing mine, I only had this, I don't know what the hex code. Usually has a hashtag and then some numbers and letters. I only had that. So what I did was, is I put that number in here, and then it'll show you all kinds of things. Check this out. So let's pick a color that we may love for our brand. Let's choose this blue. This is probably, so now it's going to give you what, and much to my surprise, I didn't know that there are more than just the RGB and CMYK codes. There's all these other codes for this one color. But then if you scroll down, this is so good. Check this out. They show you different shades of this color. So maybe you want to use different shades. They also, so great. So great. They'll show you the complementary color too. So that may be like the next color you want to use. They show you if you want to have a monochromatic brand, which is something that a lot of people have. My brand tends to be a little monochromatic, shades of pink or shades of rose gold. So they can show you that. And this, it gets even better. Check this out. This is so awesome. It shows you how to use the codes if you do website coding. I don't touch that. Different related colors. But check this out. They also have palettes that are inspired by this color. So if you're like, I know I want to use blue, but I don't know what other colors I want to use, they have lots of suggestions here. So maybe this might be a color palette that speaks to you. This is a little on the monochromatic side. It'll show you not only what these colors are, but what all their hex colors are and their RGB colors. And you can download a PNG of these. And this is something you could put in your brand guideline if you wanted to, or you could share with a designer when you're ready, like, hey, I really love these colors. How do we incorporate these in my brands? And then there's even more examples as it goes down. Maybe that one was a little too aquatic for you, or maybe you want like different colors, not a monochromatic look. And you can, I mean, you could literally spend absolute hours clicking through this to work on finding that color palette for your brand. It's so easy. I just love that. So anyway, I got really geeked out by that when I discovered that. Maybe that's something everybody knows about. But that is really, really helpful, especially if you're like, okay, I know I like blue, but I don't know what accent colors go good with that. We all don't have designer minds. Okay, so after you have your colors, your topography, your logo variations, then you're going to show off your brand application. So this is where you would put a picture of your business cards. This is where you would put like a screenshot of what your letterhead looks like in your email signature. Your other brand applications that you might have, including, you know, your Facebook cover photos, LinkedIn cover photos, and other design collateral that you may have. You can have as many of these pages as you want. So the other thing that you may want to consider while you're working, so this is, you know, just a part of your brand. It's a document that you can put together that visually describes your brand and shows off who you are in a cohesive manner. But all other considerations to start getting clear on, if you're not, is your vision and mission statement, dialing in your target market, which is something that all business owners, they never want to listen to me about, myself included. I was like, I just want to talk to everybody. Dialing in your target market is actually probably one of the best decisions you'll make for your business. So I recommend doing that. And also researching your brand archetypes. So hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I'm going to show you this brand archetype situation. This is kind of a game changer for figuring out your brand's personality. If you just Google brand archetypes, you will come up with all kinds of information. But let me show you this one that I really liked, and I will share this with you guys as well. This is from a website from Iconic Fox as well, which is I shared earlier. I really love the resources that you could get lost for days on branding advice and strategy with this website. So what a brand archetype is basically like it's a personality for your brand, and it helps you to see how other brands use this type of personality to leverage their marketing. So like, let me give you a couple of examples here. These are the 12 brand archetypes. The reason I really like this website is because it gives you a very clear image of what these look like. Let me see if I can open this. Yeah, so let's open one, the hero. The hero is a brand that would fall under the hero archetype, is a brand that's very honest, candid, brave, bold. They talk about making the world a better place, and they talk about grit and determination and those sorts of things. And these brands, Adidas, FedEx, Nike, are all what we would consider hero brands. You can read through what these archetypes look like and start to hone in your own archetype, and you probably will, you should, fit under, at first you'll say, well, I'm kind of both of these, or I'm all three of these. But if you start to get gritty with it, you'll see that you really fall under one more than others, and it can help you to understand what that brand looks like, that type of brand. What do other brands that fit under that archetype look like, and how can you use that as inspiration? So anyway, this is a great article that I will share with you guys in this presentation that you can use to do a little bit more research on that. And then let's go back to my PowerPoint. Anyway, that's kind of the end here, I guess. I thought I had one more, but I deleted that one. So those are other considerations that you can start doing. What I would recommend doing after this webinar, or to plug into your schedule, is to see how much of this you already have done. So go through your own, you'll get this in just a little while. I'll be emailing everybody that joined today, these brand guidelines. So go through and see how much of this you have done. Is your logo done? Can you plop it in there? Can you plop in your links? Can you get your about section written? This is all stuff that you can start picking away at and kind of have this working document. And as you go along, then you'll find out that you probably have a lot more done than you think. And then you can have this published into a PDF. The last thing that I would recommend is having an online place for all of your brand collateral to live. So this could be somewhere on the cloud. Google Drive is probably the most popular place. And to have on a Google Drive all of your brand collateral. So all of this stuff, you know, the photos, the brand, the examples, they can all live in one place. So when somebody says, hey, can you send me your logo? You not only send them a link to your logo where they can download it or the different versions of it, and they only have the ones that are current, but they can also download your brand guidelines right from there. And then they have all that information. So I'm going to open this up now to, I have to stop share. I'm going to open this up to questions. If you have any questions, please type them into the comments, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask. And maybe there are no questions now. You're welcome to message me as well online, or send an email to me at kendra.aris@scorecr.org. I'm going to go ahead and type that into the comments right now. No, scorevolunteer.org. Scorecr.org is our, yes, I will be emailing. I'm going to send you guys 2 documents. So I'm going to send you the PDF with the example of what my brand guidelines look like. And then I'm going to send you the slideshow that you can actually just take that slideshow and start plugging, because that's how I've built my brand guidelines, is through a slideshow. For me, that was easiest. I'm not familiar with how to use like Illustrator or any other, the fancy design documents, which is what a designer would do for you. But this is just, it's a really great way to start. And every brand that gets big, because your brand is going to get big, like start saying it now and start acting like it. Every brand that gets big has to have this, because they have to make sure that their brand is communicated properly across all channels. So do I have tips on how to create a brand name? I would tell you Google that. There's a lot of great information out there. You know, that is personal to every brand. There's really asking people for information or for their opinions is a good idea. Googling things, the thesaurus is your best friend when you're doing something like this. And then also getting online, get online and get yourself familiar with, like when you create an LLC, you have to make sure that that name isn't taken in your state. So you want to make sure that your name isn't taken. That's a really good idea, because then it gets confusing with somebody else's brand. You're welcome. Yeah, Misty, I think this is in alignment with where you are. And the one thing that I would say is that it's never too soon to start a document like this. Even if you don't have very much of the information, it's what happens, what most people, brands, businesses, companies, personal brands, whatever, what most of them do is they wait far too long to do this. And then they have to sift through a lot of information and make decisions. If you started at the beginning, then you have, it's just a lot more cohesive. So, and it helps you to like see the evolution of your brand. Like, and it's important to know all brands evolve. All brands start somewhere and end where they are, and continue to evolve from there. Yeah, that color hex, Allie says, thank you for the information. The color hex mentioned is exactly what I needed. I didn't know how to do that until, so I mean, you guys are entrepreneurs, you probably do this too. I usually say, okay, I think we need a webinar, or we need more information on this subject. And then I go figure out how to do it. So I didn't know how to do that ahead of time. Thankfully, I have some good friends that are designers and that are, in the marketing field. And then, my husband has a printing company, so he was able to point me in the right direction. But even some of his information was way over my head. These designers are smart and they use smart software. And I was like, I can't figure it out. So, as a DIY marketer for my own business, I know that's where most businesses have to start. Most of us don't have thousands of dollars in marketing budget every month to have, somebody creating all of this for us. And yeah, it might be a little archaic, might be a little elementary as you first get started, but it helps you. I mean, just the feeling and knowing that you kind of have your ducks in a row is really good, right? Yeah, if you Christina says she struggles on colors when she's doing Word documents or emails. Um, Canva is great for DIY, but if it's a logo you plan on trademarking or anything along that front, you can't in Canva. Good. Yeah, that's a great tip. And it's, you may start with DIY, but I would say 100% of the time, your DIY has to move to a professional at some point. You have to then take what you DIY'd and say, okay, I need this to be made. I need this cleaned up. I need this polished. I need this to look better, and to be more professional and to have different versions of your logo. So, you're going to have a PNG and a JPEG and a PDF, and you'll have all of these different versions. So it's important to know there is absolutely a time when you have to go pro, and trademarking or even when, you're once your revenue starts coming in, putting your marketing dollars to putting money into your marketing budget is really important, to clean up your look and feel. Because I don't care how artistic you are, if you are a designer has all of this knowledge and information and education that will put all of those logo elements into place. Thank you, Elise. You'll have to come on and do some information for us on, the next step once you're past the DIY phase. You've got some great information on that. If you guys aren't familiar with Elise, you should check out her page. She does some great work and is always giving back to the community too. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming. I really hope you guys are able to take this time as we are kind of in an uncertain time with all this virus situation going on, to nail down some things with your business and your brand. If you're finding yourself with extra time, man, that's one of the things that as a business owner, we're always saying, right? We're always saying, gosh, if I just had a little more time, or I'm running out of time. And if you're still working and you're, or you're juggling two things at once, we are here for you. And SCORE is here for you. You can still request a mentor, going to scorecr.org and request a mentor. And we're doing all of our mentoring via Zoom and Skype and FaceTime right now. So by all means, send an email to your mentor if you have one, and or if you could use some guidance, sign up to get one. And then also know that your mentors can do some group coaching right now. This is a great time to do some group coaching. So if your mentor is really great at finance and you need some marketing help, they could pull in somebody that does great at marketing. Or if you're concerned about cash flow and your mentor is a really good marketer but isn't great with cash flow, you could pull in somebody that could help you, because right now cash flow is going to be a whole different situation, right? Yeah, good luck, everybody. And keep your spirits up. If you're following me online, I'm doing some TikToks to keep the to keep spirits up at my house, and so far it's going really well. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of your day.